Today we're going to talk about the VST system, which is a way of conceiving of personal failure that helps me to optimize goal achievement and radically increase my productivity. Here we go. Do you ever oscillate between feeling very motivated to attain a high goal and also very depressed for failing to achieve that goal? I felt that way for a very long time, right? I would experience these rapid swells of positivity and then feel crushed by my failure to live up to them. Then I discovered one way, or rather one of my favorite authors, James Clear, who helped me to quantify my goals and failures in a way that made my ideals achievable and my failures opportunities to learn. So everybody preaches a big game about learning from failure, right? But learning from failure is a ridiculous notion if you don't know how to learn from failure, right? That's a skill that requires a certain set of tools. And James Clear gave me those set of tools in his, well, I call it the VST method, okay? He doesn't call it that, but it's a brilliant system that he's the first person that I saw come up with this. And the VST system is fundamentally a distinction between three concepts and a particular sequencing of those concepts. It's a very simple system. The three concepts are these: vision, which is personal dream; strategy, which is the system you've put in place to turn that dream into a reality; and tactic, which is a protocol for implementing that strategy in real life and overcoming the practical obstacles to the manifestation of your vision, right? So vision, strategy, and tactic, right? The strategy is a subcategory of vision, and a tactic is a subcategory of strategy. So Clear has a new book called Atomic Habits. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read it yet, but knowing Clear, it's going to be very good. I've read his blog for a long time. It's a very good blog, and I'll review this book in the future. But Clear gives us three strata, these three levels within which to conceive goals. And this is why people often always feel like a failure, because they just have one tool to understand their vision and strategy and tactics: goal. I want to achieve my goals. What's your goal? Here's my goal. This is the wrong way to think about goals. And I've briefly talked about this before, right? Goals exist. Goals at their best should exist as goals within your vision and within your strategy and within your tactic. Goals are ways of iterating these things so that you can measure them and give approximate finish lines within vision, strategy, and tactics. So for every achievement that you intend to accomplish, you should have a visionary goal, a strategic goal, and a tactical goal. Clear, I don't know if Clear would agree with this or not, but I found this to be a helpful tool, right? So breaking it down into these component parts allows you to pursue with better focus and accuracy the reality that you want to manifest in your life. The VST system stratifies an otherwise ambiguous desire, which we often call a goal, right? But when someone says, I have a goal, VST forces you to ask, is that goal a visionary achievement, or is it a strategic success, or is it a completed tactic? And whichever one it is, you won't accomplish it if you don't actually nail down the entire triplet of goals in each stratum, in each layer. Okay, so VST is a way of understanding what kind of failures your failures are. Is it a failure of vision, a failure of strategy, or a failure of tactic? As well as better articulating what kind of progress you want and need to make, right? And it also requires you to think holistically about the necessary psychological and administrative and logistical realities which make possible the achievement of your goals. So first, let's talk about vision. What does it mean to envision your best vision? Well, it's easy to feel so guilty for not achieving your goal that you don't let yourself want something bigger, right? You tell yourself, I just need to buckle down and be more disciplined so that I can achieve my goal, right? Just take a breath. Ask yourself a couple questions, okay? And I've actually provided a worksheet that you can use that I've included here in the show notes that you can use that will actually walk you through to help you to nail down your VST goals. You can download that in the show notes, okay? So here are the questions you can ask to get a grasp on your vision. What would your perfect day look like? Okay, just answer for yourself. Not the perfect day like, oh, like a day it would be on a cruise, right? And we'd be out with family, we'd be drinking alcohol. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What would your perfect normal day look like? Write it down. Wake up early, work out, get to work at this time, accomplish these things, right? Every single day, right? You're not sprinting, you're not behind. What would your perfect day look like? Allow yourself to indulge that question. Next, what would your life look like 1 year from today if you executed your perfect day every day for a year? What would your body look like? How would you feel? What could you do? Now ask yourself the question, what would your life look like 5 years from today if you executed your perfect day every day for 5 years? Would your perfect day look a little bit different? What would your body look like? How would you feel? Here's sort of a weird question that you could ask that could help you kind of conjure this if you're having trouble coming up with something. Ask yourself, when I was 12, who did I picture myself becoming? What positive aspects of that picture have I given up on? Is there any part of that picture that I would want if I knew it was still possible? Right? Let's start there. Try to conjure something. What is the dream? What is a vision? What's it, something that could drive you? There's your why. There it is. Okay. Relax your mind. Let yourself give up on the whole goal, achievement, anxious. Like I need to get things. Like just give up on that for a second. Okay. Right. Relax your mind. Let yourself desire something more for yourself. You are worthy of wanting more for yourself, okay? Don't be a sadist. Don't be a martyr, okay? But people who are martyrs, who are like, they don't want to think about themselves, they end up usually neglecting themselves so much that things don't work out for them, okay? H.P. Lovecraft is a famous story for him and J.G. Hammond, who's a famous theologian. These guys, they don't like self-promoting. They're really down on themselves. And so they become famous posthumously, but they die in misery and they die in poverty and they do a lot of good work and they never see the fruit of it, right? And so there's a cost to not allowing yourself to dream. There's a cost to not allowing yourself to have a vision, a positive vision for your life, okay? Don't treat yourself like a piece of garbage. Don't eat things that we feed pets, okay? What's a Cheez-It? What is a Cheez-It? It's literally dust that we heat up so that it's hard enough to chew. Okay, but I love Cheez-Its, lols. Aren't I cute for liking kids' food? No. Cheez-Its aren't even kids' food. It's literally fish food, okay? But we eat it because it's hyper-palatable. We eat like rats. We treat ourselves like rats. We feed ourselves and hate ourselves like we would hate a rat and feed a rat, okay? We don't exercise. We don't want more, right? We just wake up and think, hungry, angry, sad, work, do this, do that. Let yourself just want more for a second and write it down. Let yourself dream about what your life could be if you treated yourself like a human being, if you conceived of yourself as having the dignity and glory of a human being. When people fail to indulge their visionary capabilities, doesn't matter what strategies or tactics they use, they will never achieve lasting change. That's why people are always obsessed with life hacks. Life hacks having everything completely backwards. You don't start with life hacks. What are you chasing? What are you building? What is this hack for? You must let yourself become re-enchanted with the possibility of becoming the adult you always wanted to be as a child. Okay, so that's what it means to have a vision for something. Okay, 2, commit to the most effective strategy. Strategy is like the 5th level of Inception. Like you can get really easily lost here forever, right? And there's so much misinformation about there. Here's the best strategy for this, the best program for this, the best plan for that. Here's the best way to do this. You have to do this system, then you have to do that system, then you have to buy this plan. It's like, oh my gosh, especially with fitness, it's just ridiculous, right? The internet is crowded with these marketers trying to sell you the best strategy, right? How could you possibly pick the right strategy to manifest your vision? First, you have to recognize that there's a lot of good information on the internet, okay? So a lot of people want to be down on the internet, but there's actually a lot of really good information on the internet. And the right system for you is probably on the internet. But the most important thing you should do is ask yourself, what are the fundamental principles which make all of these systems true? Or what are the fundamental principles which make the true systems true, right? So take diet as an example, right? So you've got multiple competing extreme diets for fat loss, let's just say. And again, these are just typologies, right? So you've got veganism, which is like only vegetables, right? Then you've got the carnivore diet, which is only meat. Then you've got the ketogenic diet, which is high fat. Then you've got counting macronutrients, right? Which is essentially food restriction or food manipulation, right? And all of these systems have success stories. But what makes them all true? How could a no meat diet and an all meat diet both produce, I feel so much better and I lost 50 pounds and blah, blah, like how could they both produce the same effect? They're literally the opposite diet. Well, there are commonalities, and those commonalities represent fundamental principles. And those principles are actually the realities which makes those diets work, not the diets themselves, right? So what are commonalities with those diets? Well, none of those diets permit the consumption of refined carbohydrates. And proponents of these diets also suggests exercise accompany the program. So people are exercising and they're eating far less refined sugar, refined carbohydrates. So it turns out that people who eat all of these different diets end up eating fewer calories by accident. Okay, this is why bodybuilders and powerlifters and performance-oriented people who have been refining diet for almost 100 years, they reduced everything to how many macronutrients you eat, right? That's carbs and fats and proteins. That's it. That's what macronutrients are: carbs, fats, and proteins. And these are irreducible elements of every single diet. And whether these nutrients come from fatty foods or animals or plants is less significant in terms of fat loss. And it is only at higher levels of competitive performance that differences between these diets like veganism and carnivore diet become significant. So as far as the system goes, you might pick whichever version of the system you can most easily implement into your life. And the easiest thing you can do to make the principle, the easiest thing you can do is to make the principle itself the strategy, is to make the underlying common element that you deduce from the working systems, make that your strategy. So if macronutrient calculation is the principle which makes all diets effective, well, just make achieving a caloric deficit through macronutrient calculation your method of fat loss. Easy. Boom. You don't have to do veganism. You don't have to do carnivore diet. Choose the principle as your strategy. By analogy, if your goal is something other than fat loss, you should apply this same method. So find the most widely accepted and effective systems within the domain of your vision, find the 2 or 3 most popular competing successful systems, and deduce from these systems what are the common principles which make them all effective. What do they all do? And this is something you're going to have to do. It's not going to be the internet. This is something the internet won't do for you. You have to kind of demarketize the internet, right? But you have to do it for yourself. Then make that principle that you deduce, make that your strategy. And this is how you can cut through the ridiculous mystification of strategy on the internet by marketing gurus, right? Find the underlying principles of competing marketers and build your own system from those principles, tailored specifically to you, which brings us to the point here with tactics, okay? Optimize your tactics to you. Choosing the right tactics for implementing a strategy is actually very idiosyncratic. People want to make a science out of it, but it's not a science. It's going to be tailored to you. You will discover the optimal tactics for you by implementing them into your life. So I have my own pull habits, right? And I wouldn't prescribe them necessarily to everyone else. I think people would do well with them, but everybody's gonna need to find their own thing, and that's what tactics are, right? So one of my things is, if I don't wake up at 4:30 a.m., sometimes some seasons of my life it's 3:59, sometimes it's 4:30, sometimes it's 4:59, right? It depends on the season of life I'm in. But if I don't wake up, for example, at 4:30 a.m. and work out, I will not work out. I won't do it. That's a fact. And that hasn't always been true in my life, but it's a groove that I've carved out in my life for this season. And for other people, the opposite is true. But for me, waking up early and immediately and drinking a mug of coffee basically guarantees that I will be starting and finishing a full workout that morning. What else do? I press play on a good podcast as soon as I wake up. I splash cold water on my face. I don't eat until dinner, because if I do, I'll want to fall asleep and overeat, right? These are tactics which I use to achieve my strategy. And my vision is to be stronger, faster, and healthier at age 40 than I am at age 30. My strategy is exercise and diet. My tactics are suited specifically to me. And you must do the same thing for yourself. Nobody can hack life for you. You have to build life hacks for yourself, which make your strategy as easy as possible. A big reason that people often fail to implement their strategies because they adopt someone else's overcomplicated system that they developed for themselves over decades. Find what works for you. Journaling, preparing the night before, meal prepping, working out in the morning, working out at night, eating 1 meal a day, eating 20 meals a day. Like, what is it for you? Okay. These are all tactics that realize a strategy. So for example, if a vision that you have is deadlifting 500 pounds, right? And your strategy is a specific deadlifting program, then the tactics for implementing that program will be successful if they make your ability to complete the deadlift workout as simple, accessible, and likely to occur straightforward as possible. This leads to another important point about tactics. Your initial tactics, and this is one of the harder parts of the VST system, your initial tactics will probably fail, okay? Don't interpret those tactics as strategic failures. Don't abandon your system. Interpret failures as tactical failures, which are opportunities to optimize your system. Remain committed to your system. Adjust your hacks for making that system as achievable as possible. Maybe you romanticized waking up early. Maybe you thought, I'm gonna work out at 4 o'clock and I'm gonna work out. Maybe that's self-sabotage, not self-optimization, okay? For me, it's self-optimization. For you, self-optimization might be working out at 3 p.m. when your grip strength is the strongest, right? right? Maybe you're actually much more likely to work out in the evening. If that's the case, try something else. Try something else. That's why it has to be idiosyncratic, okay? The VST system is actually harder than most other symptoms because you have to do more work up front, but it makes it much easier for you. So when you have a tactical failure, don't despair, optimize. So stop trying to change your life by achieving your goals, okay? You need to disambiguate what you mean by goal by stratifying it along the three strata of vision, strategy, and tactic. And there are more important things to achieve. Achieve a vision, achieve a strategy, achieve a tactic, okay? Goals exist within these things. See your vision, commit to the most effective strategy, optimize the strategy with personalized tactics. That's the path to behavioral change. That's the superstructure within which discipline is effective.